Watch this.
Early childhood education has been a long-standing topic of discussion in Idaho. Some lawmakers and advocates hope this year is the year all-day kindergarten gets through the legislature. It's all about how you come at it, apparently. You may have seen it, you may have even sat on it, but have you any idea what it's actually made of? There's a reason you're sorting those plastics for the recycle bin. So you like to read?
Yeah.
You like to draw?
Mm-hmm.
You sound like you know how to make a book.
I do know how to make a book.
What Dylan didn't know, how to get his book to the masses. But he figured it out, himself. You know, kindergarten is only optional in Idaho. Yes, the state has funded it since 1975, the half-day version, but kids aren't required to go to school until the age of 7 in the Gem State. But studies show kids who attend full-day kindergarten are better prepared for first grade, better academically and socially. And that may be obvious, which is why for years, lawmakers have tried to get that paid for directly by the state, to no avail, leaving Idaho school districts to figure it out for themselves. And most have, offering some sort of full-day kindergarten funded by either general fund money or through levies or grants. Recently, the Boise School District adopted full-day kindergarten, free of charge to families in their district. Idaho Falls Schools, did their own research, and they too are going to offer the same thing beginning this fall. But maybe, just maybe, those programs could finally be fully funded by the state. For example, last year, House Bill 331 never even made it out of Education Committee. This year, however, there's another attempt being considered that would give every district in Idaho the option to offer full-day kindergarten. So what's different this year? Joe Paris spoke with a Boise school trustee that has worked on this idea for years for some insight and perspective.
The 2022-23 school year, the Boise School District has a major new offering: free full-day kindergarten for students in district.
We've been thinking about this for a while, and the legislature currently only funds part-time kindergarten for school districts. And we've really wanted to offer full day for our families for a couple of reasons.
Beth Oppenheimer is a Boise School Board trustee and the executive director for the Idaho Association for the Education of Young Children. Oppenheimer says in Boise and beyond, they've seen the impact of full day kindergarten.
I think a lot of folks think that full day kindergarten is children at desks with pencils, but it's so much more than that. This is where they learn to interact with one another. This is where they learn to play with one another. They learn to do school, and they also begin that love of learning.
Advocates for full-day kindergarten are keeping a close eye on discussions at the State House this year. In recent years, proposals for the state-funded full-day kindergarten have stalled for a variety of reasons. One factor has been cost, but with a major budget surplus, there now seems to be more options.
Well, I think it is gaining traction, and I've seen more support today than ever before. I think that our legislators are starting to realize that the impact that full-day kindergarten can have not only on learning, but also supporting our parents.
Still, some Idaho lawmakers are concerned about the startup and ongoing cost of funding all-day kindergarten. We spoke recently with Representative Wendy Horman. She works on the state's budget committee. While keeping an open mind on the topic, Horman outlined her concerns when it comes to program sustainability and relying on the budget surplus, courtesy of the federal COVID-19 relief funds.
Sustainability, I think, is a valid question to ask. You don't want to invest in programs that you can't sustain over time.
While no final bill is quite ready for debate, the concept behind the bill is expected to be like those in years past: a funding mechanism that allows districts to hold all-day kindergarten. Not all districts would have to participate if they didn't feel it worked for them. This would be an opt-in process, not a mandate. As an education advocate, Oppenheimer says right now is a crucial time for conversations on the topic.
Our legislators do need to talk to their school districts within their own regions, because we know that across the state, school districts are really wanting this opportunity.
Oppenheimer says she would love to see districts have the option for full-day kindergarten, but education advocates say they understand full-day kindergarten may not be the best option for every family, but they want it to be an option.
There are some families who prefer part-time kindergarten for their children, and that's perfectly fine. I do hope as things move forward that the option is on the table for those families who really only want half-day kindergarten. This is not mandated. There's a difference between funding full-day kindergarten and mandating full-day kindergarten. No one is talking about mandating anything.
Tough topic in this state mandating anything. All right, Joe, talk about sustainability. $1.9 billion surplus right now. How much does something like this cost?
Yeah, there's been some ballpark estimates about $50 million per year, and that was really the figure a lot of people were talking about during last session in 2021. The idea is that it should basically be about the same price here in 2022, and people have talked over, in years past, what's really been the holdup on full-day kindergarten. There's been two major ones. One, of course, the budgeting of it, and two, some Idaho parents say that they don't believe their kids are ready to go to school, for a full day as a kindergartner. So there are some different ideas in terms of parenting and schooling, but the bottom line is at the legislature, for example, the idea has been about the budgeting. And as Brian, you just highlighted, with almost $2 billion in a budget surplus, the argument from advocates is that the Idaho should be able to afford being able to do this right now. They should be able to fund it. Critics say, though, with so much one-time COVID relief money, could this program continue to, sustain itself into the future if those dollars are not available from the federal government? And they likely won't be going forward.
All right, really quickly, Joe, is this a partisan thing? Because last year, that House Bill 331 was brought forth by Representative Judy Boyle, who's a Republican.
I've spoken to Republicans and Democrats that support this idea. I would expect to see a Republican carry this idea, but I know the Idaho Dems are very passionate about this, so it is wait and see, but there should be bipartisan support, and we'll keep everyone posted as we follow this.
And I'm sure they don't really care who gets the credit, maybe just as long as it gets through. All right, thank you very much, Joe. For nearly 4 years, the city of Boise has been encouraging everyone to recycle everything they can. The city's asked residents to put some of the plastics, which usually wouldn't be able to be processed into a regular recycling center, into a bright orange bag. You probably have had some of those. Those bags being shipped to Utah, and they were supposed to be turned into diesel fuel. That didn't go so well. In 2019, those bags were still being sent to Salt Lake City, but this time they were being used as fuel for a concrete manufacturer. Now a California company is hoping to change that and make the laborious work of separating all the plastics finally worth it. So what do they want to do with all your hard-to-recycle recyclables? Well, it could be coming to a park near you soon. Here's Katya Stepovic.
About 20% of Boise residents dedicate time to separate out difficult-to-recycle plastics into these orange bags that then go to Western Recycling in Boise. But then what?
Certain things I've questioned, like what happens to the energy bags.
Bill Cohen is a resident of Boise who's been skeptical about the final destination of these orange bags.
Is it just to make people feel good?
It's a valid question. The energy bag program started back in 2018 in response to China's Green Sword policy, in which they stopped taking a lot of the country's recyclable materials. Now, the city of Boise sends all of the orange bags about 350 miles southeast to a place called Renewlogy in Salt Lake City. Instead of coal, the facility uses the orange bags and mixes with cement as an energy source. That process does have an environmental impact, one that doesn't sit well with Bill.
This is the fact that we're transporting some of this energy bag waste to Salt Lake. It just intuitively doesn't make any sense. If you think about the, I think I read 30 tons of this gets transported.
Which is why he took a stroll today to Manitou Park.
I came to this park explicitly to see what happens to my energy bags. I wanted to come and see the bench itself to see if there's a better use.
This bench is about halfway done by a company that the city has partnered with called Bifusion for a pilot program. Inside each block is all the contents from your orange bags.
To try to find a technology that's really truly recycling, and that's always our goal. People get to look at that block and say, wow, like that could be the material from my orange bag that I put in there, right?
30 tons of plastic waste is collected each month throughout the Treasure Valley. And Peter McCullough with the City of Boise Public Works says the energy bag program follows the EPA waste hierarchy. Right now, they would like to move up on that chart to recycling. And this new method would do just that.
So that's only steam and compression. We don't sort, we don't clean. We literally just take the plastic waste, throw it in the machine, make a block, and stick it in a wall.
Heidi Kujawa, CEO of Bifusion in Los Angeles, says this bench only scratches the surface of possibilities to come.
But we really view ourselves as a waste to infrastructure company that enables us to really keep up with the infrastructure demands of the city. And that includes anything from Parks and Recs, which is an example with the bench, to Department of Transportation and other major supporting services for community.
The orange bags are being sent to Los Angeles during the pilot program, and during the zero-emission process, Kujawa says these blocks can create perimeter walls, privacy fencing, sound walls, bus stations, dumpster enclosures, storage facilities, and residential projects, to name a few. While the community grows, the pilot program comes at a time when some say it's needed most.
All of our waste in the Treasure Valley, whether it's from Boise or Garden City or Eagle, it all is going to the same landfills. And in Ada County, we have one landfill. It's not going to last forever. There's varying estimates on how many years it has left, but we're looking somewhere in the range of 60 to 75 years left, perhaps even less.
If the pilot program is successful and piques interest from local architects and developers, Bifusion hopes to bring their block-making machine to Boise. And as for Bill,
this makes sense from an energy and from an environmental standpoint, and this seems to fit the bill.
He's pretty pleased with where his waste ended up.
Well, I'd like to see this in a couple weeks when it is completely finished, and hopefully something like this will catch on in different municipalities around the country.
Hopefully, we'll just have to wait and see, right? Well, I'm sitting on the bench, obviously, right now. It is pretty comfortable. Take a look at it. You can obviously tell it's not fully completed. We've got some rubber plastic protection on the top. When it is completed in about early February, it's going to double in size, and it's actually going to create an L shape. But this bench alone, guys, has the potential to actually get rid of 1,000 pounds of waste in those landfills. So you can only imagine what this program really has the potential to do here and maybe in some other cities.
Well, that's a good start. As you mentioned the possibilities, Katya, what other projects might be in the works here in Idaho?
Well, this pilot program is off to a great start. Obviously, it's still early in the process, but a lot of interest from architects and developers, and we're hearing that they're already in the works of building some new structures and benches. I can't tell you exactly where, but I'll give you a hint. Garden City may be seeing some of this coming up.
All right, cool. If we like multicolored things, that looks pretty nice. All right, finally knowing what's going on with our orange bags, the plastics in our orange bags. Thank you, Katya. It's a dream he's had since he was a young boy. Hold on, he's still a young boy. This 8-year-old author now has his book in the local library, almost as unheard of as how he did it. All right, here's how you get involved with the 208. Text us, 208-321-5614. Send us your comments, your critiques, and your questions. Just make sure to include your name in the hashtag the 208. And remember, we're looking for clever, clean, and concise, so we can share them at the end of the show. You know, people self-publish books all the time. The internet is riddled with them. But for many authors, the true testament to literary success is seeing your book in a library. It's a process for many that could take years to achieve. Not for one Boise kid who put the prosperity of his prose in his own hands, and then, literally, he put it on the shelf himself.
Ada Lake Hazel, this is Tara. How can I help you?
The Lake Hazel branch of the Ada County Library
What's the name of it?
is a bastion for books.
I think it's between 40 and 50,000 books at this location. We have books for adults, books for children, books for kids that are learning to read, picture books. So yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Which is why 8-year-olds like Dylan Helbig, this is your library,
Yes.
feel right at home.
Well, not like my library, but I don't own it.
Except Dylan does possess a capacity for creativity.
And then this is the part where Santa comes.
Dylan
I like the pictures.
likes to write his own books. One day in winter,
Yeah.
it was Christmas.
So he has been writing books since he was about 5 years old.
His latest,
It's The Adventures of Dylan Helbig's Christmas.
he finished last month. That's you.
Yeah. By Dylan Helbig himself.
Taking an empty journal, a gift from his grandma,
And me unwrapping a Nerf gun.
and filling it in just 2 days.
Even though it has 81 pages.
So you're in the book.
Yes, I am in the book.
Who else is in the book?
My mom,
Who else?
Santa,
Who else?
a giant turkey.
Okay, so what does Dylan do in the book?
So first he decorates the tree.
And the star has a bomb.
No, I think someone overnight put a bomb in there and it just exploded.
And
I get sucked into the portal and I go into the very first Thanksgiving.
the giant turkey.
Everything about it was a bit crazy.
Got it.
I know some of the words.
Writing a book
Yeah, because some of the words are my sight words.
wasn't what impressed his mom the most.
So this one I just figured was like any other one that he has written.
It was what Dylan did with his book that caught her by surprise.
I didn't know this was his ultimate plan.
His plan, he put in play days later.
I've been wanting to put a book in a library since I was 5.
But that takes editors and publishers and distributors, doesn't it?
You know, you can't just put your book on the shelf.
Or can you? Well, Dylan did.
There was a lot of librarians that I had to get past, so do you know what I did?
What'd you do?
I covered this part and covered the back with my body and just snuck it in like this. I came in running, and then I started to walk. And then I came in this aisle. This aisle. And then I put my book right here.
Complete with stickers on the spine, so it would look like it belonged.
And the next time I came back, it was gone.
That night at home, he told his mom.
I thought that we had lost it, you know, and I figured somebody would probably find it and put it in lost and found.
I think my mom called the library.
His parents were worried that we would find his book and we would get rid of it, which was an unfounded fear.
Because if there's ever a place a book would be safe, it would be here.
True.
Well, they found it.
I think it was in our stories section.
And the librarians?
Every page is illustrated.
Loved it.
Yeah, and it's a good story.
And they wanted it.
Dylan's book definitely fit all of the criteria that we would look for to include a book in our collection.
So with permission, they processed it, put on the proper stickers, and now, The Adventures of Dylan Helbig's Christmas
by Dylan himself
is a full-fledged library book.
Now it's in the system. Anybody with a library card can check out the book. You may have to wait a few weeks at this point.
There's actually a waiting list. People want to check it out. So there's like 4 people in line. And it's just like mind-blowing.
Chapter 4.
Not bad for an 8-year-old who's been waiting to get a book in the library since he was 5.
And now I did it.
Yeah, it's not the normal process for including a book into a library collection, but in this scenario, it worked for Dylan.
And he puts his mind to something and he makes it happen, so.
I always be sneaky, like how I get chocolate.
Doesn't surprise me at all that he did this.
And this is page 81. We'll be right back in the next book. The end.
Yep, Dylan has plans for a sequel. I'm not sure if it's going to get the go-ahead to go right to the library shelf, but we'll see. If you're looking for it, The Adventures of Dylan Helbig's Christmas by Dylan himself. It's now a fixture on the graphic novel shelves, but you may have to wait in line, as you just heard. Alex Hartman, the branch manager, said the book earned Dylan the first ever Houdini Award for young writers. And Houdini is the library mascot, who is an owl who represents curiosity and wisdom. And he hopes the award encourages other young writers to write, not necessarily self-stack your book on a library shelf, but just write one. I thought the Houdini Award was for how Dylan snuck in his book without anyone noticing, kind of a sleight of hand kind of move. As Dylan says, I always be sneaky, like how I get my chocolate. All right, so yesterday we told you about the Biden administration opening up their website. You can order for free 4 at-home COVID tests. No insurance needed. It takes about 30 seconds to complete, and those tests are then shipped out at the end of this month. Still some kinks and working out there, so be patient on that website. But shortly after that announcement, the White House also issued another statement saying they'd be making millions of N95 masks available to the public. And that piqued the interest of Lenny, who texted in yesterday during the show and asked this. I heard the government will be giving us N95 masks. Any idea the details on ordering those? Those won't be available for ordering, actually. Lenny, the Biden administration says they're going to make them available at locations across the country, places like pharmacies and community health centers. That supply is actually going to come from the Strategic National Stockpile. And the reason, there's been a lot of confusion around which masks provide the most protection against variants, like Omicron. CDC says the best one is the N95. So when can you actually go and pick those up? Hope is they're going to start shipping those out this week with the goal of being fully operational by February. Our final minute of the show, we had some comments sent in on the possibility of all-day kindergarten being finally funded by the state of Idaho, like this one from Tom in Meridian. The excess funds our state has should not be spent on items that require long-term burdens on taxpayers. Salaries, all-day kindergarten, etc., are huge future tax increases just waiting to happen. Please don't do that to taxpayers. Then there's this side of the coin. Old story, son, you can't save, excuse me, every starfish on the beach, but I can save this one. Kindergarten for kids. So there's a possibility of, at least somebody benefiting from all-day kindergarten. A lot of good stories out there of kids have benefited from all-day kindergarten. So great to see someone thinking outside the box by making a box and several other items using the recycled materials in the orange bags. Way to go, says Susan in Meridian. Yep, park benches across Idaho, at least starting out in Boise, possibly Garden City. You'll start to see some of those, excuse me, multicolored blocks turned into benches, maybe to build some other things, some retaining walls. We'll see how that plays out. I would love to have some of those blocks, says Phil. They are cool, and maybe you can take them home. Maybe you can buy them and do stuff around your house. This one, Dylan Helbig for Congress. He's definitely got my vote, says Cindy in Boise. Dylan, off to a great start, self-publishing a book, putting it in the library. Now you can check it out. Again, you might have to wait in line if you want to get Dylan's Adventure of Dylan Helbig's Christmas, written by himself. Check it out. It's a really good book. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.